There you go. Hey, this is Emily with Wellness for Generations. Today we are interviewing Clara Wisner, who is let me pull this up, a certified nutrition therapy practitioner and self-love guide. She is also a certified primal expert and emotional freedom technique practitioner. She helps women to ditch toxic habits and release self-sabotaging beliefs that are keeping you from living the life you desire. A unique coaching approach that addresses mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. So welcome. And how are you doing today, Clara?
Thank you. I'm doing really, really good. I had a nice weekend in Boulder, Colorado with some girlfriends, and we hiked and had a lot of fun. So yeah, I feel refreshed.
That's good. Boulder is gorgeous. I've been there before, and a very gorgeous place to go. So that's awesome. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your story and kind of how you've gotten to where you are now?
Sure. Yeah. So I always am like, okay, concise. Okay. But so I have always been, since I was very, very little, kind of obsessed with like medicine and the human body. I remember just poring over, my parents had this book. They lived in Belize in Central America. And they had this book that was called Where There Is No Doctor. And it was basically like a textbook on how to do like all sorts of medical procedures and like home remedies and things like that. And I would pore over it as a kid, like very young kid, barely could even read, but it had a lot of pictures and I loved it. Nice. And so there's that, like, it kind of, I feel like my story starts there. Like it's definitely an innate thing that I've always been interested in. And so I thought so as I grew up, I then also became kind of obsessed with like nutrition, and exercise in a very unhealthy way. I had disordered eating patterns and disordered eating and exercising history in high school and then through college, undergrad. And I didn't actually go into medicine. I thought I wanted to, but then I really didn't like a lot of the programs anyway. Long story short, I didn't end up doing it, and I got into environmental science. And so I went into the Peace Corps. I joined the Peace Corps to do like international development work. And as I was in the Peace Corps, kind of the unhealthy patterns that I had developed came to a head. And it was really a situation where I had to decide, like, are you going to keep doing this or are you going to not keep doing this? And I call it like, people talk about the dark night of the soul, and that was kind of mine. Right. And I decided in that moment and through the 2 years that I was there that I really wanted, when I got home, I was going to learn how to take care of myself. I didn't know what that meant, which is interesting. Yeah. Because now it's like all I talk about. But I had thought before that, like dieting and over exercising and trying to change yourself was healthy. And it was dawning on me that it wasn't, but that I had no idea how to actually love myself and take care of myself. And so when I got home from the Peace Corps, this was also coupled with the fact that I realized I didn't want to do what I was doing there. I thought I wanted to do international development work, but I didn't want to. And so I was also kind of in this space where I was like, I'm going to overhaul everything I've ever thought about how to take care of myself. And I'm also not into what I thought I wanted to do with my life. Mm-hmm. So I moved to Denver and Colorado, and I was just working at a coffee shop trying to kind of figure out what to do. And I kept riding my bike by the Nutrition Therapy Institute, which is a school in Denver, Colorado. They have a school in Japan, Sweden, and Denver, Colorado. And it was kind of before, this was in 2010. So it would have been before a lot of the health coaching certification programs were out there. But I kept riding my bike past the school, and I decided, I'm going to go in and see what it's all about. And I enrolled just for myself. I had no intention of being any sort of practitioner or healer of any kind, but I was just like, this seems like what I need to be doing to figure this out. And I was always interested in that stuff, and it felt good. So I started, and after a year, it's a full-time 2-year program. Mm-hmm. They have a 1-year program now. But that's like a little less intensive. And I did the 2-year program, and through the first year of school, I realized like, I actually want to do this. I want to work with other people. This is really cool. And so I started my practice, Revolutionary Lifestyle, in Denver, and I was just doing nutrition, really consults, specifically around women hormonal stuff, women's health and hormones. And I did that for about a year, and I kind of realized that I liked talking more about like the psychology behind it. Was getting a lot of clients that were having those disorder type eating patterns, or just like not being able to do the therapeutic diets that I was suggesting because they just had cravings or, you know, emotional attachments to food. And so then I went and got a psychotherapy like certification called Voice Dialogue, which is a type of psychotherapy. And so now my practice involves, you know, definitely the food as medicine, but also that piece of like, my whole theory is based that we have 4 bodies. We have mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical bodies. And we need to nourish our physical bodies for sure. But we also need to nourish our spiritual, mental, emotional bodies as well. And so I kind of use that framework for everyone that I work with.
Cool. That's awesome.
And now I live in Montana and I work online. I don't work.
Awesome. I thought you lived in Montana. So I was like, wait, does she live in Colorado? I thought you lived in Montana.
Yeah.
So I know you said that your parents had this book. So in your childhood, did they actually like practice those types of things? Like, what did your childhood look like in that regard?
No. So my parents were, you know, you could call them hippies, I guess. So I was very much inundated with, well, specifically on my dad, like organic food. My dad's actually very involved in like the organic food movement still to this day. And food quality and whole real foods was a big thing. Like he was so like weird about like Gatorade or like anything that had like bright colors, you know, it was like, why would you eat that? So I kind of got like inundated by that when I was younger. But that being said, my parents weren't specifically into like holistic medicine and still aren't as much as you might think. But definitely food was important, and like and healthy whole foods were like something that they valued.
Cool. That's cool. That's at least definitely a start. So you kind of shared about your business and a little bit about like what you do. What is kind of your mission and your purpose in that business? And if you want to expound on any more of your business, feel free.
Yeah. I think it's actually kind of in a point of flux. But I very much resonate with the idea that I'm here to help women wake up to the love inside of them, is what I say. And that means that in particular, women tend to be very, very hard. Well, at least from my perspective, you know, I'm working with women, learning about women, reading about women, like it's very women centric, women focused. And so I see a lot of women, you know, having some form of like self-sabotage, self-hatred, affliction, really, and just not valuing like true health, valuing more looks, right? So they don't want to look older, they don't want to look fatter, they don't want whatever it is. So I really, what I see as my mission is just in any way, shape, or form that I can is helping other women to wake up to the love inside of them, meaning that they are innately worthy and that they actually have a lot of their own, they have the answers when it comes to what will make them healthy.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about nutrition therapy and kind of how that works and what it is?
Yeah, so nutrition therapy is based in the idea that food is medicine. So I went to the Nutrition Therapy Institute. There's also the Nutrition Therapy Association now, NTA. So NTA. And I guess the definition would be more that it's like functional medicine. is root cause based. And
Mhm.
then specifically nutrition therapy is that nutrition is like a huge part of that root cause, that your body can heal itself if it's given the right constituents
Right.
through supplementation and diet and lifestyle to a point. But nutrition therapy is actually really more like nutrition based, so more
Right.
physical body stuff. And the therapy aspect is just this idea that like it helps to have a practitioner, help
Right.
you, a knowledgeable person. So my like title is master nutrition therapist, just meaning, I did this 2-year program at NTI, and so I have the whatever the knowledge
Right.
to be able to guide someone into that kind of realm of, food as medicine, supplements, using food as like a medicinal therapy.
Right. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't think people often realize how much what they're eating really does affect, like how their body is reacting and doing things.
I know, it blows my mind. It's a good thing to be reminded of, because to me it's like what else would be. It's like the baseline of what, and I think that's a tenet of nutrition therapy as well, that like what you put in your body is I don't like to say it's like we're machines and it's fuel, and like if you put good fuel in, then it's good, and if you put bad fuel, that's not exactly how it works, because there's so much more complication to the human body. But that is, I guess, a high, what's the word? Like a low level explanation of it. So it makes no sense to me that, you would put like these things in your body and then be like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No. Yeah. I recently, I can't remember what food exactly it was that I cannot remember. It wasn't actually a food. It was something else. But like when I was like, we're going to die of something, I'm like, okay, but I'd like to die healthy. Like I'd like my to stop one day. I don't really want to continually make it inflamed. So, but yeah. So I would love to know more about your podcast, kind of why you started it, what it's about, because I think you're the only professional right now that I have that actually has a podcast, and I'm looking forward to starting one hopefully by the new year too. So I'd love to learn more about yours.
Yeah, actually, so Love Rising Podcast was the podcast that I have done for a little over a year, but we actually just stopped making new episodes of that. But I am launching a new podcast in the fall called Revolutionary Lifestyle Podcast, which makes sense. So were you going to say just asking about it, or?
Yeah, like what will it be about then? When does it launch?
I haven't decided if it'll be late August or early September, but somewhere in there, end of summer, early fall. Yeah. And the Love Rising podcast is still out there. All the episodes are available. They're amazing. I refer to them all the time with clients and friends and whatever. And that was the same mission as is the new one, but I can talk a little bit more about that, to help women wake up to the love inside of them. So we interviewed, my co-host Kylie Seifert and I interviewed other practitioners, other kind of thought leaders, authors, anyone who had some insights into, how do we accept ourselves and take care of ourselves. And so sometimes there's a lot of nutrition talk. Sometimes there's a lot of spirituality talk. Sometimes there's a lot of like emotional health talk. And then we also kind of structured it in a way where we would focus on one subject for 4 weeks. And we had a podcast episode every week. So like we had relationships, and we interviewed 4 relationship experts in different areas. And we did simplifying life. And so we interviewed Greg McKeown that wrote Essentialism, and anyway, other people that talk about minimalism and things like that. So it's kind of cool too. Like if you're into a specific subject, you can kind of look and see the 4-part series that we did with the different experts with like different expertise in the same area. So that was really fun. And then Revolutionary Lifestyle Podcast will be similar. It'll be interviews with just me interviewing, and then I'll probably do some episodes alone as well.
Yeah.
But Revolutionary Lifestyle Podcast is more, I guess you could say it's almost more like goal oriented, more life coaching than specifically health. And it's really about like, I'm handpicking people that I think exemplify what revolutionary lifestyle means, to have a lifestyle where you take care of yourself. And it's not always productivity. It's like an introspective lifestyle. It's kind of the word that always comes to mind is like old soul stuff. Like it's people that are like living very free lifestyles, and what does that look like and how did they get there? And I'm really excited about it. I've been recording episodes already, and amazing guests. So yeah. And I just love podcasting as a way to consume information, because I'm very strict about social media. I do a lot of stuff online, but I don't use social media myself really at all. I have some Facebook groups that I monitor, but I don't use it other than that. And then I use Instagram, but I post and do my stories, and I don't scroll ever. And so I like to consume podcasts. Like, I think that's a really good way for me to consume media, because you can be doing other things, you can be walking around, but it's very intimate. It's not like reading, it's someone else's voice in your ears. So it's a way that and I like talking, obviously. Yeah. So I like podcasts.
Yes. No, I love podcasts. I'm actually working on some Audible books right now, but I love podcasts. They're like my thing. I'm always listening. That's what I did whenever I was working my day job at the office, because everyone had music in their ears. And I was like, I listened to music for a couple days, and I was like, hey, I could actually listen to podcasts right now. So that's what I did for like over a year working in the office. When I came home, it was a little more difficult because I have other distractions. But yeah, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So awesome. That's super exciting. I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah.
What do you think one key element for someone is to start moving the needle in their health?
Yeah. I could go so many directions with this, but I think I'm going to say meditation. I think and by meditation, I don't mean necessarily like sitting and, oming, but I mean mindfulness practice, a daily mindfulness practice. So if that looks like sitting outside on your deck and watching the trees and just being with yourself, great. If it means listening to guided meditations while you're in bed, I call it meditation. It's amazing.
Love that.
Any practice where you get to be alone and watch your thoughts. I think that terrifies people. And like most good things in life, it terrifies, right? Yeah. Like most things are very scary to go after. And I think with the constant distractions of this world, that mindfulness is something that can just be the first step to something that allows you to be honest with yourself, but not from a place of judgment, you know? So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the Audible books I'm listening to right now is You're a Badass at Making Money. And
I love her, Jen Sincero.
She's amazing. And so I've been writing down the questions at the end of each chapter, and I'm on chapter 3, so I have two chapters worth of questions, and I'm like, this would be really great to just like sit and journal through, because I'm realizing I have a lot more issues around money than I realized. So,
oh man, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Money is one of those ones. Always like new level, new devil. It's like every time you do something else, it's like hit up against them again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things I like, but it takes me to like really separate that time out to sit and be, because I've learned as extroverts, we don't like to go in introverted. So like it's very difficult for me, and I'm trying to like overcome some of that barrier, because I need to be able to have some forward growth.
Yeah, Love Rising podcast plug here. We did a great episode, just Kylie and I, on introverts versus extroverts, because Kylie's very much extroverted and I'm very much introverted. And so it's a really interesting discussion also, like how those labels, what they do for us, like, and like she talks a lot about how extroverts still need that mindfulness time. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely listen to that one. I need to go on and add your podcast into my queue so I can listen to all the episodes. And one of the last questions, what is one change you would like to see be passed down to future generations regarding wellness?
Cooking.
Yes.
Cooking and, well, actually, let me like pull that back, even back it up a little bit more. Like, I guess when I think about like generation to generation, maybe this is too broad, but it's empowerment, like empowerment around your own health. I think we've become so disempowered around our own health with the current way that the medical system works. So, you know, like we don't have any real sort of, especially in the US, we don't really have any sort of like incentives for preventative healthcare, right? And we have this very hierarchical, patriarchal system of medicine, right? It's like, go to the doctor and he knows what's best, he or she, but most people would say and he tells you, you know, this is what you do. And not all doctors, but all like there's some wonderful doctors out there that have beautiful hearts and are doing beautiful work, but most doctors will make you feel very stupid if you were to ask them questions. And I hear that again and again and again from my clients and from other people. And, you know, I asked, why should I take this medication? And he looked at me like, ugh, like, come on, like I'm a doctor, you know? And so that power structure is very disempowering for the average person in their health. And so I think things like teaching your kids to cook, or essential oils is something else I educate a ton about and I am super passionate about. So if you were going to ask me the second thing people should do, I would say start using essential oils, meditation, then start using essential oils. But that rolls into this as well, because that allows you to have these tools at your fingertips. And that's why I educate about them, is because I know that if every mom knew how to use the 10 basic oils and used them, that would translate into so much more empowerment with their kids. And the mom's more empowered, right? But the kids too, because they see like, oh, if I have, you know, a sore throat, I have something to do. If I have a cold, I have something to do. And so, and like things like cooking and that kind of thing, I think just allowing us to see that like what we do affects our health, that there's disconnect there. And so, that's not really a simple answer.
No, and I think and you're spot on, because I think some of that generational stuff has been lost, and that's one of the reasons the business name for my business is Wellness for Generations, because what we do impacts the future generations. What our previous generations impacts us, whether it's what they ate, what they felt, what they thought. It's so fascinating to learn about that and how it impacts you. And it's one of the areas that like I'm trying to do better as a mom. I have a 4-year-old son, and we use oils. They're the best things in the world. And like he's 4 now, so like he does know, like, oh, if my belly hurts, like, hey mom, I need some oils. Like he'll come.
I know, I love that.
And it's so precious. And like we started, I was really terrible at like a bedtime routine. So, and we still are, but I've started, like, he's always wanting his back rubbed, and it's just so much easier if you have like a carrier oil with a lavender or something, because can actually rub their back smoothly. And so I've started doing that. So like every night I was like, mom, oils on my back.
Kids love them. Kids love them.
So but like it's showing him now. The next part I need to get into a little more is the cooking, because I do have a little bit of a lack of patience when it comes to like cooking and all of that. So, but like him and my babysitter's daughter helped make pizza dough the other week and stuff. So I definitely think that's right. And it is broad, but it needs to be broad. Like there are so many pieces that need passed down. So,
well, and it's like set a good example, I guess. Like it's like the best thing you could do for your kid is like get healthy yourself. Like because they'll see you. Like they'll see you working out, or they'll see you cooking more, or they'll see you learning, even if you're like, so if you're watching this and you're so lost, like you're like, I don't even know how to cook, I don't know even where to start. It's like, start doing something, because that is, I'm not a mother myself, but everything I've read is like, you are an example.
Right.
And if you're not taking out time for yourself, if you're not feeding yourself well, if you're not getting the exercise that you want to have that's fun for you, like, then that's gonna be translated,
Right. Yeah. No, exactly right. And I know, because last week I went to yoga, and when I got my son picked up from my mom's, he was like, I want to do yoga with you. And I was like, okay. So we did a few poses just in my mom's living room. But then this past week, I forgot about getting another babysitter. And so I asked the instructor, I was like, hey, do you mind if my kid comes? And he did good for about a half an hour, but then like got really, really hot out. And he was like, no, this isn't happening anyway. So he went and played in the stream instead. But it was still like fun. And the one girl there was like, he did so good. It looks like you guys do it all the time. I was like, that's like the first time I've really like personally done it with him. So thanks. But it gave me kind of that incentive to like, no, we need to start doing this. We have 2 yoga mats at the house because, my husband has one and stuff. So I'm like, we need to just do this. So it's going to be a new practice we add. But anyway, do you want to share where people can find you? And then I do have links and stuff I'll post in the comments so they can get easy access.
Sure. Yeah. My favorite place to kind of do just like daily stuff. I do posts, I do stories on Instagram, and my handle is @revolutionarylifestyle, all one word. And then my website is also a great place to read my blog, sign up for my newsletter. I have a lot of like webinars on there recorded that you can watch. If you're interested in working with me, then you can book a introductory kind of interview. And that is revolutionarylifestyle.com.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll share the direct schedule link in the comments too if anyone's interested in.
Oh, thank you.
A call. No problem. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, I'll post your podcast when it comes out because I'm excited to listen to that too. So
yeah.
Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for your work and what you're doing. It's very important.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.